This is Wrestling Chowder, and here's your host, Scott Holladay.
Yes, thank you, no one. It's a pleasure, as always, to be alone in my bedroom. You are watching Plus 2 Wrestling. I am Scott Holladay, and this is Wrestle Chowder, where I watch an entire month's worth of professional wrestling, boil it down for you, and serve it up for you to enjoy. Now, some people have asked, is this just a ripoff of Botchamania? And to that I say, sort of. We do some of the similar things. If I'm a ripoff of Botchamania, I'm only a ripoff of the crap joke at the end of the episode. So, yeah, I'm a ripoff of the best part of Botchamania. I've also taken the note, not going to sing this episode. You guys don't seem to like that. I'll keep the pipes at rest. Now, like I said, I try to watch every wrestling show that took place in April, and I try to stick to the independent scene, but it is April we're looking at, and that is, of course, Wrestlemania. So we're going to have to talk about Wrestlemania here and there. For the most part, I thought it was a mixed bag. Some really good stuff, some not so good stuff. I would say the worst part of Wrestlemania was that a lot of wrestlers got rebelled. That's where they take away their iconic music and get stuck with a new theme song. Nothing was worse than the entrance by Finn Balor. Let's take a look.
Bananas in pajamas are coming down the stairs.
For the record, I was going to make a song for Finn Balor in pajamas because I think it fits the meter, but I promise no singing, and I'm a man of my word. Now let's dive into the independents, and we'll start with what has become one of my favorite new promotions, and that's SOS Wrestling. At their recent event, Dante's Peak, they had a scramble for a message in a bottle, featuring competitors like Nash Bowie, Ethan HD, all caps, Derek Jaws, and this guy.
And introducing next,
I feel like I have to tell you, he's dressed like Indiana Jones.
The scramble was eventually won by Mike Santiago, who opened the bottle to receive that it wasn't just a message, it was a map. Unfortunately, he was not able to read the map. But you know who could read that map? Pitfall Jones. Now, what I believe is supposed to happen here is they're going to fight over it, and the map is supposed to rip in half. Instead, this happens.
Jones thinking he's the rightful. Jones says he is a map. Hey, you guys don't fight over it. What are you doing?
I'm the map, I'm the map!
Okay, so I am a ripoff of Botchamania. This is just what we're doing now. I'm just a complete ripoff of Botchamania. In any case, if you want more SOS Wrestling, and you should want more SOS Wrestling, you can check it out on IWTV. We're going to switch over now to YouTube, where you can watch Prestige Wrestling's Roseland 11, which started out with a banger match with KZ taking on Kevin Blackwood.
He is a two-time West Coast Pro World Champion, as you mentioned, the current West Coast Pro Heavyweight Champion, combined 236 days under his belt. KZ's sitting a worm here. We've seen Scotty Too Hotty once before in the Roseland Theater. KZ, maybe a little bit of a too cool influence.
An absolutely disgusting display by KZ there. Resorting to biological warfare? He infected Kevin with disco fever! I said there'd be no singing. Didn't say anything about dancing. We move on now to DOA Wrestling and their event Port Slamia, where we are set for trios action as Aces High make their way to the ring.
What in the dare is going on? Just say no. Come on.
So much for the Aces being high. They've decided to come to the ring with an anti-drug message. Let's see how the fine fans of DOA take to this. Oh, guys, I know it's fun to be at a wrestling show, but they're filming this. People are going to see that you were there, and then you're going to have to go to work the next day. Just, think it through is all I ask of you guys. Just think it through a little bit. And if you're wondering why Aces High came out as anti-drugs, it's to get heel heat as they were battling the Bud Line. And I understand that they're called the Bud Line because they're friends, they enjoy Bud, and this guy kind of looks like Roman Reigns. Well, Roman Reigns if the tribal chief stayed away from a certain other illicit substance. Today was the day I decided I never want to be signed. Isn't that fun? But let's talk about Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins was probably the best match of night one of WrestleMania. It started off with a hell of an entrance with Seth Rollins coming out planning to burn it down with a huge flamethrower. That means that Seth Rollins has officially done the second coolest thing on a wrestling entranceway with a flamethrower in Las Vegas. Congratulations, Seth. Way to pick up the silver. Now, it wasn't all WWE down in Vegas. We also had some independent wrestling shows as part of Mania Week, as GCW presented the WWE ID Tournament. That is a confusing sentence. The WWE ID Tournament was to crown two brand new champions. It was the opening round in looking for the men and women's ID champion. ID, of course, being short for Indie Death. On the show, we saw Zara Zakar battle Izzy Marino when Zeta Steel decided to get involved.
Referee wondering why they're even out here. Oh, and from the floor, Zeta Steel with her shoe.
And the Control Z.
Who throws a shoe, honestly? No, honestly, how are we supposed to believe that a shoe was able to knock out Izzy? We all know that when someone gets kicked, the reason it's so painful is that there's a foot in here. She hit her with an empty shoe, and not just that, not even the hard part. She hit her with the soft part that had no foot in it. Absolutely stupid. This show overall was not great. It just seemed like the audience couldn't get into it. The best match of the night was probably Marcus Mathers versus Sam Holloway. They had a really fun no DQ match, and the audience just sat on their hands the entire time, which is so strange because just an hour later, Marcus Mathers would compete in the opening round match in the same building in Dragon Gate's Rebirth. Let's take a look.
Also on the way tonight, we will see the legendary Ultimo Dragon in action. He's here. Ben K is here. Shun Skywalker. And,
Oh, KZ, you've done it again. It's a super spreader event. Everyone's getting the disco fever. This is like the sixth take of this joke, and I'm legitimately getting out of shape. I should work out more. If you want to watch either of those events, whether it's the rebirth of Dragon Gate or the WWE ID tournament, you can check both of those out on Triller TV+. Let's head back briefly to WrestleMania, where the match of the week took place in the opening contest of Night 2 of WrestleMania. I'm talking about Io Sky defending the WWE Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. In that match, they did a bit of a Tower of Doom spot, and they all came crashing down, and Rhea Ripley ended up in this position. Turns out she's not mommy anymore. No, she's a Family Guy. Can you tell I can't show clips from WWE programming or I'll get thrown off YouTube? Is that, very obvious now? Let's move on now to MLW and their event, Battle Riot. The Battle Riot is a 40-person rumble, basically like a Royal Rumble, except with more weapons and 40 people, where Matt Riddle defended the MLW Championship in that match. That match featured some of the biggest talent in the independent wrestling world, including people like Alex Hammerstone, Alex Kane, Titus Alexander, and other wrestlers not named Alex. It also contained a few people that were formally signed by the WWE. People like Bobby Fish, Kushida, and this guy.
Oh, here comes his mentor and trainer, the intrepid traveler. Paul London has landed.
That's right, Paul London arrived in ML. Wow, he really got some air on that water bottle. In any case, let's cut to the final two of the Battle Riot. It's the final two. It's Rob Van Dam versus Matt Riddle. And, what are you doing? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't you know what you've just done? Oh, here comes Aces High again. They're going to tell us that we shouldn't be doing drugs. They're going to tell us that the only thing we should be smoking is sausages. Which is a real thing. A real police officer told me to say if I was ever offered drugs, that the only thing we should be smoking is sausages. The DARE program. It's now time for everyone's favorite segment of Wrestle Chowder that we didn't do last episode. It's time for What Just Happened. This is where I show you a clip and you try to tell me what just happened. This month we're going to Mexico for Lucha Memes, where Calientillos, which is Spanish for a tea drink with liquor, battles Enigma, which is Spanish for the Riddler. Can you tell me what just happened? Can you figure out what just happened? Was it A, a pinfall, B, a submission, or C, I don't know, nothing? Correct answer is C, because apparently at Lucha Memes, the crowd brings bells to support the wrestlers. Who thought it was a good idea to bring bells to a wrestling show? Yeah, I have my supportive bell for the wrestling show. After this, though, we're going to the basketball game. Make sure you have your supportive whistle. And then the next day, we're going to the bullfighting tournament. I got my red rally towel to support the bullfighter. Yeah, I'm going to go with my friend Troy McClure. I want to show him my new pet fish. That is a deep cut Simpsons reference because I am a Botchamania ripoff. You know, we've talked a lot about the WWE and WrestleMania, but they weren't the only major company to put on a pay-per-view. No, AEW put on Dynasty in Philadelphia, a show I was at. And the match of the night was easily the triple threat match to decide what is the greatest RPG of all time. First, we had Kenny Omega representing Final Fantasy VII. Then Ricochet, donned in his Team Rocket gear, fought for Pokemon. And then Speedball Mike Bailey represented Chrono Trigger in his Frog gear. The match went as expected, as Kenny Omega picked up the victory for Final Fantasy VII when he hit a one-winged angel from the second rope on Ricochet, sending him blasting off again and scoring the pinfall victory when Frog couldn't get there in time. If you don't get those jokes, just know that they're really funny. I like a good RPG reference because I am a Botchamania ripoff. One guy said that to me, and I have not let it go. Can you tell? Can you tell? Let's move on! We are moving on now to TNA. They put on Unbreakable on Mania weekend, which saw a very surprising face turn.
Stop there, Gia, because I know whatever you're going to ask me, it's going to be just as dumb. You want to talk about Masha, right? The hell isn't unbreakable. She's over.
That's right, the entire Triller network turned face when they cut off Tessa Blanchard mid-promo. Good job, Triller. She doesn't need any airtime. The match of the card, though, was the brutal Barbwire match. It was probably the most brutal match of Mania weekend, which saw Sami Callihan take on Mace Warner. Sami Callihan decided to wear some interesting gear.
And his opponent from an anonymous compound in Dayton, Ohio, weighing in at 245 pounds, Sami Callihan.
Hello, my name is Elder Callahan. I'm about to do some violence, won't you take a look? I have this spiky controller. I could really do some damage if you let me cook. Hello, my name is Elder Callahan. I really must tell you about the most amazing book, the Book of Murder. Look, I know I said I wouldn't sing, but you gotta understand that that couldn't be helped. I recently got diagnosed with disco fever. He's not going to do that joke a fourth time, is he? There's no way he'll do that joke a fourth time. Absolutely not. By the way, I didn't make this for this bit. This is a Thumbtack 64 controller that I just own. That's just a thing I had in my closet. Speaking of painful moments, let's head back to Wrestlemania, where someone really made a huge, unexpected impact. I'm talking, of course, about Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, of course, this has already been scrubbed from most WWE programming, and I can't show WWE footage on this show, but I can show fan footage. Oh my God! From shattered glass to shattered lass, Stone Cold Steve Austin drove a vehicle directly into a woman. They asked him about it backstage, and all he said was, "I did it for The Rock." You know, I've seen a lot of people online kind of poking fun at this woman and saying that she was overreacting, but she spent an insane amount of money on those front row tickets to enjoy wrestling. And then she got hit by a vehicle by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, it took 30 years, but finally they are showing that drinking and driving is not a good idea. And some people might be saying that I'm overreacting and that he didn't drink the beers until after the AV ride, which I guess that's true. If I were going to try to prove that there was like drinking beforehand, I would have to show that like I don't know, Stone Cold Steve Austin had trouble operating the vehicle before this happened. Was before the incident. With driving like that, Stone Cold could be the third Uso. I don't understand why this story isn't everywhere. He crashed a four-wheeler into a fan. This is easily the biggest blunder by a WWE Hall of Famer that we have seen this month.
Now, in the world of professional freestyle wrestling, all I have to say is welcome to the black and blue. Welcome to the black and blue of freestyle professional wrestling. You're going to get paid to beat people up. You're going to get paid to win. You're going to get paid to make them scream. So roll out the red carpet. I don't want super. I want mega stars.
You see, as a comedian, I don't know what I can even do with this, because there is nothing that I can say to make that any sillier or more ridiculous. Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan are opening a new promotion for freestyle, like Olympic style wrestling. First and foremost, everyone is going to think that it's fake. Because it's Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. It's not even Hulk Hogan. It's Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The evil liar version of Hulk Hogan promoting a wrestling show. No one's going to think this is legitimate. Like, remember when those astronauts were trapped in space? There's a reason that the person we didn't turn to save those people was William Shatner. Because William Shatner, despite his fame for space travel, is not a real astronaut. This is absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait to watch it. We move on now to Rad Pro Wrestling, a wrestling company that takes place in 1996. There, they attempted to crown new tag team champions at their event, The Web. And that saw the team of the Plant-Based Prophets, that's The Fern and Leaf Montgomery, teaming up. And if you want to argue that those aren't plants, then newsflash, dumbass, Leaf is plants. Well, they took on the team of the Lovitts, who are a married couple that brought all of their kids to ringside. Luckily, they were able to find a homeless man to pay to watch the kids while they wrestled. You still with me? The kids then got a bit rambunctious and taped the homeless man to a chair. Then this happened.
The kids want the tag. Pam's gonna do it. That's a tag. Here we are. That's Sean. That's Sean.
That's right, a child just legally tagged into this match. Now he's going to have his Nicholas moment and move on and win the tag team titles.
Arm in the forehead.
Take some shit. Made him more effective. Pull through. Schoolboy. Stacked. Schoolboy. Oh.
Now hold on.
Oh, no.
Oh! Oh, no! Oh! They hit him with the twister backbreaker. And now he's going to be a hunchback. That fills me with a primal fear. It's 1996 in this wrestling company. Did I make that clear? That's why the references make sense. We've lost all control of the show. So let's talk about something that was completely out of control. We head now back to Las Vegas for GCW's Clusterfuck Forever. If you don't know, the Clusterfuck is a Royal Rumble-esque match that has an unknown number of people in it that come in unknown order in unknown intervals. I'm a big fan of this match because you never know who you might see in this match. For example, here's a moment where It's Not My Fault himself, Gene Snitsky, faced the living legend Yoshihiko.
Two sick, twisted individuals here.
Snitsky with Yoshihiko, driven into the canvas repeatedly, just brutalizing Yoshihiko. The power of Snitsky. Over the top, and Yoshihiko
has been eliminated.
Oh, wow! Yoshihiko went flying into the crowd like they were stone cold on a four-wheeler. Now, I personally care about the Clusterfuck because in my predictions bingo card for the year 2025, I predicted that the winner of the Clusterfuck this year would be signed to the WWE. Well, turns out I picked the wrong company.
Guys, Brody Jr. might do this. Stunner!
and Joey over the top. Eliminated. Brody Lee Jr. has won the match.
Why are children wrestling? Why? We gotta let their brains finish growing. Like, you know when Shawn Michaels won the title for the first time and they were like, the boyhood dream has come true? There's a reason he wasn't a boy anymore. We let him become a man first because they fall on their heads a lot. I'm just bitter that I'm not going to get my mark on my bingo card. That's really what this boils down to. Now, if you don't know, the Clusterfuck was originally part of Joey Janela's Spring Break. But Joey Janela's Spring Break still took place this year in Las Vegas. The opening contest saw Alec Price taking on Violence is Forever all by himself. It had a very interesting opening.
Well, Violence is Forever don't want to wait to find out.
And Alec Price.
That's right, during the opening moments of this match, it randomly cut away like it was a Tessa Blanchard promo. To make matters worse, what popped up was an advertisement that said, Hollyland for a better view. What an ironic thing to disrupt the viewing experience than something advertising a better view. That would be like a Ric Flair promo getting interrupted by a Viagra commercial. Or a Stone Cold promo getting interrupted by a drunk driving PSA. Or a Nick Gage pizza cutter spot being interrupted by a Domino's pizza ad. So I've been up here for a while being a smartass, but as always, I am not above criticism. This is Scott on Scott. Nobody reached out about doing graphics. We're sticking with that one. I take you now to CZW Something's Brewing, where I was on a call for the CZW Rules triple threat match between Jimmy Controversy, CC Boost, and Tarzan Duran, which featured some very innovative offense.
Is that a spray paint? I think, he's got a target for it. Oh! It's a Blue Angel!
Could you imagine if he farted? He would have blown CZ Boost's head clean off. Put up the shame counter. Put up 2 for the joke that I did actually on commentary and for this one. Actually, add another one, because I'm mostly ashamed by the fact that the joke I had in the moment isn't as good as the joke that I've had weeks to try to think of something and write. It's now time for the main event moment of the month! Our moment of the month features the DDT champion, Murder Grandpa himself, Minoru Suzuki, who had a match against a lifeless, human-shaped object. He also had a match with Yoshihiko on DDT. But I'm talking about the WrestleCon show that he had against Butterbean. This match was atrocious, receiving one of the worst rankings on The Observer. What I find most hysterical about this is there are actually some repeated spots in the match with Butterbean and Yoshihiko.
I thought Butterbean was ready to eat his foot. I mean, just bite it off.
Suzuki trying to kick his way out of this, but his other ankle's been trapped.
Yeah, he doesn't have it fully locked in.
Enough to escape a hold like this from the King, but losing this much blood for Yoshihiko, it might be impossible.
Trying to fight their way out of the hold, but Suzuki shuts them back down.
How is that doll selling better than Butterbean? It seems like Yoshihiko is more aware that they're in a wrestling match than Butterbean was. My absolute favorite moment comes from this call from Veda Scott.
Kids say these days, aura, Riz, that is what we're experiencing right now.
That we are.
Veda, listen, I'm no expert on Riz, but I can guarantee you, that ain't it. Please, Veda, don't say stuff like that. It makes you sound older than Butterbean. And that's the show. Yeah, the main event joke was a bit of a dud, but I learned from Wrestlemania that the main event's supposed to be disappointing. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to check out any of the stuff I talked about here, you can watch these shows on Peacock, IWTV, Triller Plus, or YouTube, and you can find links in the description down below. I hope you really enjoyed this show because unlike some comedians, I actually want people to hear the jokes and see the jokes that I made about Wrestlemania. So please, do me a favor, give this a like, subscribe to Plus 2 Wrestling, and if you could share this around, I would really appreciate it. As always, be sure to reach out to me if you want to help me with finding clips, writing some jokes, or maybe some graphics. You can find me on my Blue Sky right here. Popping up on screen now is a link to the video of last month if you want to see the Wrestle Chowder for the previous month, which was March, which was a word I just forgot. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great